So Newton has formulated 3 laws that could govern the motion of an object. These 3 laws together are known as Newton's laws of motion. Today, let's discuss about Newton's first law of motion and its applications. So, the statement is there on the screen. An object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. So, this is the statement for Newton's first law of motion. You must state the law as it is. Don't try to write the law in your own words. Okay, so state the law as it is in your textbook. An object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line. So what is the meaning of this statement? Consider an object. If it is in a state of rest, it will continue to remain in that state of rest unless it is compelled or forced to change that state by an applied force. So for example, consider a table. A book is lying on that table. So that book lies on that table till we apply some force on it. If we just drag the book, it will move. It will change its state of rest. So we have applied a force. Only after the application of the force, the book has changed its state of rest. So an object, if it is in a state of rest initially, it will continue to be or it will continue to remain in that state of rest unless a force is applied on it. So suppose an object is moving with uniform velocity in a straight line. So that object always like to move in that straight line with the same velocity unless a force is applied. So suppose the car is moving with 20 km per hour with a speed of 20 km per hour along a straight road. And if we want to change the velocity of the car, we need to apply some force by placing our feet on that accelerator, isn't it? So we should apply some force, then only the car will change its velocity. So all objects always like to remain in their initial state. Okay, and this tendency of an object, so to remain in their initial state, or this tendency of that object to resist any change in its state of rest or of uniform motion is known as inertia. We can say that inertia is a sort of laziness. So all objects have some inertia in it because all objects possess this natural tendency to remain in their initial state of rest or of uniform motion. And if we want to change the object from their initial state, we need to apply some force. Only after the application of the force, it is possible to change the state of the object. Okay. And this natural tendency of an object to remain in the state of rest or of uniform motion is known as inertia, or inertia of an object is the resistance to change. Next, let's discuss about the applications of first law of motion. Children, so many examples are there based on this first law of motion, and you might have experienced all these situations in your daily life. So we shall discuss one by one. Passengers in a moving bus tend to fall forward when it is suddenly stopped. So have you ever experienced this situation whenever you are traveling in a bus? Whenever the bus is suddenly stopped, you tend to fall forward, isn't it? So suppose this is a bus and you are in a bus. Okay, you are standing in a bus. Now, suppose the bus is moving in this direction. Suddenly the bus is stopped. So you will have a tendency to fall forward towards this direction. So what could be the reason for that? Here, whenever the bus is moving, see, the lower part of your body is close to the floor of the bus. So whatever change happens to that bus, it is affected much to the lower part of your body because it is in close contact with the floor of the bus, while the upper part of the body is not much affected with the changes happening to bus. So whenever the bus is suddenly stopped, the lower part of the body is also stopped suddenly, but at the same time your upper part of the body will continue to move in this direction because your upper part of the body is in a state of inertia. It doesn't like to change its state of motion. Okay, so when the bus is suddenly stopped, the lower part of your body is suddenly stopped, but at the same time the upper part of your body continues to move with the same velocity due to inertia of motion. So as a result, you will have a tendency, or you tend to fall in the forward direction. And similar situation is experienced whenever a car is also suddenly stopped. Whenever a moving car is suddenly stopped, you tend to move forward. You are pushed forwards. So to prevent any accidents in such cases, it is advised to wear seat belts whenever you are traveling in a car. This seat belts will exert a force in the opposite direction. So whenever you fall forward or whenever you are pushed towards the forwards, the seat belts will exert a force in the opposite direction and helps to remain in a balanced state inside the car. Okay. Now just consider the second application, that is passengers tend to fall backward when the bus is suddenly started. You might have also experienced this situation. So consider the same bus and you are standing in the bus. Suppose the bus is at rest initially and the bus is suddenly started. So whenever the bus is suddenly started, you tend to fall backward in this direction. Okay. The bus is moving in this direction, but you tend to fall in the backward direction. So what could be the reason for that? Here also we can apply the same logic. So the lower part of your body, which is in close contact with the floor of the bus, will be in a state of motion immediately with that of bus. But the upper part of the body can't adjust with this change. Okay, it was initially at rest and it likes to be at rest always. So the lower part of the body will be in a state of motion, but upper part of the body continues to be in a state of rest. So as a result, this part will move in this direction and the upper part will have a tendency to move backward. Okay, so this happens when a bus is suddenly started. Not only bus, when any vehicle is started, we encounter the same situation. Okay, now consider the next example. Passengers tend to thrown to one side when the motor car takes a sharp turn at high speed. So you might have experienced this situation whenever you travel in your car. So whenever a sharp turn, whenever the motor car takes a sharp turn, you are thrown to one side of the car. This is because initially you are traveling along a straight line. And when the motor car takes a sharp turn, your body can't adjust with that circular motion, because if it is a sharp turn, then it will be a sort of circular motion itself, and your body can't adjust with that type of motion. Your body tends to move along the same straight line due to the inertia of direction. So here in this case, you can see the inertia of motion. Here in this case, you can see the inertia of rest, because your body can't adjust with the state of motion. It tend to remain in the state of rest. So you tend to fall backward when the bus is suddenly started due to the inertia of rest. And here your body doesn't want to change the direction. So that's why when the motor car takes a sharp turn, the car will move in a circular motion, but your body tend to move along a straight line due to the inertia of direction. And so as a result, you are thrown to one side of the car. Then leaves fall down when the branches are shaken vigorously. This is also one of the application of first law of motion. So what happens when the branches are shaken vigorously? The branches will be set in a state of motion, but at the same time the leaves attached to the branches will continue to remain in the state of rest. So due to the inertia of rest, the leaves fall down. Okay, so the branches will move but leaves won't move. The leaves will tend to remain in the state of rest. So as a result, they are detached from the branches. Then dust comes out when the carpet is beaten. This is also an application of first law of motion. So whenever the carpet is beaten with a rod, the carpet will be set in a state of motion, but the dust particles continue to remain in the state of rest. So what happens? Carpet will move, but at the same time the dust particles can't move, so they don't have the carpet. So they will just fall to the ground. So the dust comes out when the carpet is beaten, and you will understand more about all these examples in the coming session.